So Vice President J.D. Vance appeared at a Turning Point USA event and gave a speech and then a Q&A in what, in my humble opinion, is a great preview of his 2028 presidential run. Let's talk about it. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about Vice President J.D. Vance making an appearance at a Turning Point USA event at the University of Mississippi, in which he gave a speech and then he did a Q&A. People were just lined up. It was live, so you didn't really know what they were going to say, and you didn't know what he was going to say. But overall, he did a really good job. And before I go on, may Charlie Kirk rest in peace. Y'all know I knew Charlie. He was one of the best, if not the best. Charlie himself could have been the president one day. That's how great of a man he was. And this event, from what I was able to see, did a good job at honoring his legacy, but continuing to move forward. His wife was there, of course. Erica, well, his widow, she was there. She gave a speech. I'll link to the whole thing in the box, but in this video right now, I want to focus on J.D. Vance. So before I go any further, let's get into the actual video. Like I said, it will be in the box. If you're on IG, Facebook, etc., visit the link in the bio. Go to the corresponding article on the website. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
When you talk about too many immigrants here, when did you guys decide that number? Why did you sell us a dream? You made us spend our youth, our wealth in this country and gave us a dream. You don't owe us anything. We have worked hard for it. Then how can you, as a vice president, stand there and say that we have too many of them now and we are going to take them out to people who are here rightfully so by paying the money that you guys asked us? You gave us the path, and now how can you stop it and tell us we don't belong here anymore?
Now, before he answers, a little bit of context. He was talking about we got too many illegal aliens and maybe a little bit too much immigration. We need some immigration, but there's got to be a limit. There's got to be a cap, and American citizens can't be overrun. So that's the context here.
I can believe that the United States should lower its levels of immigration in the future, while also respecting that there are people who have come here through lawful immigration pathways that have contributed to the country. But just because one person or 10 people or 100 people came in legally and contributed to the United States of America, does that mean that we're thereby committed to let in 1 million or 10 million or 100 million people a year in the future? No, that's not right. We cannot have, I'll go and finish, we cannot have an immigration policy where what was good for the country 50 or 60 years ago binds the country inevitably for the future. There's too many people who want to come to the United States of America, and my job as vice president is not to look out for the interests of the whole world. It's to look out for the people of the United States. Now,
very well said, J.D. Vance. Very, very well said. Now, of course, we got some more. And again, the full thing will be in the box if you want to see it and hear it without my commentary. Now, this is about Palantir. I've seen some things about Palantir. I guess it's a big tech operation, a big tech firm. I don't know a lot about it, to be totally honest, but I have seen some things about it on the internet, and guys have concerns. Like, what's up with you and your connection to Palantir? Let's hear his answer.
Hello, Vice President Vance.
how you doing?
Good. I have a question. Do you condone large private corporations such as Palantir hoarding data caches on U.S. citizens?
No, I don't condone it. And here's the thing. So I get asked about Palantir a lot because there's this internet meme out there that somehow I am super in bed with Palantir. And here's the thing that I'd say about this. Palantir is a private company. They sometimes do a useful service, and sometimes they're going to do things that we don't like. You should be demanding that your representatives do two things when it comes to Palantir or when it comes to any other technology company. Number one, protecting your data. What's going on with artificial intelligence is going to mean that there are massive inducements to steal your data, to harvest it, and to use it against you to sell digital advertisements. That is not what I believe in, and I've been fighting against it, whether it's Palantir or any other technology company, literally before I ran for office. When I ran for office, I was criticized by Republicans in my Republican Senate primary because I was talking then about Google and Facebook harvesting our data. It's unacceptable. I don't care who does it. I don't want them to do it. Number two, and this is also very important.
Now, before we go on to number two, what he said about Google, Facebook, etc. is right. And if the concern is about data harvesting, it shouldn't just be about Palantir or some internet meme. It should be about all the big tech companies that do it, because that's really a big part of their business model.
What's going on with artificial intelligence, we got to be worried about large-scale surveillance, okay? Everything. You asked about Palantir. Do you know that every time you make a credit card transaction, the credit card companies are collecting data on how you spend your money? Do you know that every time you linger over a link on the internet for more than a half second, the search engines are collecting data on you so that they can sell you advertisements? One of the biggest questions for American policy over the next 10 years is how to ensure that you are a sovereign citizen. And you cannot be a sovereign citizen if any private corporation or any government can steal something from you that belongs to you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, the whole thing about data on the internet, I'm not sure that I consider that to be stealing, because if you're on the internet and you're interfacing with free technology, it's not free. Somebody paid for it. Somebody's going to pay for it, and you're going to pay for it one way or the other. I prefer to pay subscriptions to some of these services in exchange for my data not being harvested as much. I think that would be a fair compromise, but I'm not quite sure we'll be able to do that. That's going to be a whole big debate for a very long time, and it's not going to end because of how ubiquitous these things have become. Now, this is about the government shutdown. Who's to blame? What's going on? Let's keep on rocking.
Let me just say on the government shutdown in particular, the reality here is that there's a very simple bill that just reopens the government. It does it through pretty much the end of the year. That got every single Republican in the House of Representatives to support it. And then it got 52 Republicans in the Senate and 3 Democrats in the Senate to support it. But because of weird Senate procedural rules, it requires a 60-vote threshold. So on that issue in particular, when you have every single Republican with like 2 exceptions in both houses of Congress, I feel pretty confident. I know that I'm partisan. I know I have an R next to my name. But I feel pretty damn good saying the shutdown is the Democrats' fault because we voted again and again to open it.
Right on. And then something else about that. People say, oh, it's the Republicans. They are the ones. All Republicans, for the most part, are on the same page. Maybe like one might be off, but Democrats don't want to do it because, again, the Democrats want healthcare for illegal aliens. Ultimately, they'll make all this gobbledygook up about this subsidy and that and that. And really, when you get down to the bottom of it, the core issue is free healthcare for illegal aliens.
Now, but there's a broader question there, and I think most Americans, whatever their political persuasion, would actually like the country's political parties to work together better to solve the problems. And look, and I agree with that. And my approach when I was in the United States Senate was to try to find some issues where we could agree with the other side on and try to work with them on it. And let me give you one example. I really worry about concentration in the corporate sector. I worry about big corporate monopolies. I worry that when you have only 1 or 2 companies dominating an entire sector, it's bad for liberty and it's bad for prosperity. So you may be shocked to hear this, but I actually worked with Elizabeth Warren on some anti-monopoly stuff when I was in the United States Senate.
Pocahontas.
But here's the problem. The problem is there is actually a lot of things where we could work across the aisle. There are a lot of President Trump is in my view, you haven't seen organized labor ever get behind a Republican at least in 100 years like they have behind Donald J. Trump. There are a lot of areas of common ground on that question. The problem is, as reasonable as some of these people can be in private, in public, the current obsession of the Democratic Party in leadership, I'm not saying every Democrat in the country, but the current obsession of every Democrat in Congress is get President Trump. fight President Trump, attack President Trump. It is impossible for us to work across the aisle unless a person is willing to put down their partisan sword, shut the hell up about fake scandals related to Donald Trump, and actually work with us. That's the way you make this happen.
Right on. Very well said, JD Vance. Very well said. So there's more, but again, it'll be in the box or on the website. If you're on Facebook, IG, y'all know what to do. But as I close, I want to say this. 2028 is coming into focus. I think we know who's going to be the players. JD Vance, obviously, I think he's a front runner on the Republican side to become the Republican nominee. Marco Rubio's right there, and I like Marco a lot. He has improved so much. He is really, really good. Vivek Ramaswamy, JD Vance's friend from Ohio, from the Cincinnati area. I think he could be in the mix somehow. Now, on the other side, who do you have? Gavin Newsom, AOC, Jasmine Crockett. If I'm going to compare one side to the other, the Republicans look much healthier than the Democrats do right now. And that's not going to change next year or the next year. And it most certainly won't change by 2028. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your opinion about JD Vance's full speech and the Q&A if you saw it? What's your opinion about the clips you just saw? What's your opinion about the entire thing if you were able to catch it? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. I think it was a good showing from JD. No scripted stuff. We saw the last guy, Joe Biden, at 1,001 years old, go out there and do the worst choreography you ever seen in your life. Reading from an index card. Okay, I'm gonna call You can't have that. That's not. I don't feel confident as a citizen watching my president do that. I want my president to be quicker on their feet, to be able to think, to be able to problem solve immediately in real time. I don't want choreographed. I don't want Truman Show. I want real guys out there doing real things. And I think JD can most certainly do it. And if it's not him, it's got to be Marco, because I think Marco has that same ability. Maybe even more so right now than JD, but they're both great. And they're most certainly better than the other side by a country mile. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.